You're gonna love this one, boys. This one's amazing. Bungie CEO has done the two smartest things I have seen anyone do in Bungie in literal years. Years. And those two things are, one, he has locked in profits and now is dipping out because obviously it's a sinking ship. And two, he gave away the Destiny IP to a mobile game development company from China called Tencent that treats its players like expendable loot pinatas, and they're doing a better job in making Destiny games than Destiny 2. It is hilarious. Destiny 2 has officially completely 100% lost to a mobile game from China. Everyone is currently happy with the Destiny mobile game, and no one is happy with the actual main game. This is like Diablo 4 and Diablo Immortal. Diablo Immortal also is a Chinese, also done by NetEase, by the way, is a Chinese mobile game that's literally designed to be a slot machine spinner where you're supposed to spend $10,000 to be happy. And people are more excited and happy about that game than people playing Diablo 4. It's insane. This is the funniest stuff ever.
Look, there's every chance you've missed this news, but basically it has been a long few months over at Bungie. I mean, just think about it. We've seen the marathon delay, the plagiarism allegations, and now, well, one of the lowest
allegations? I'm pretty sure we're on point.
Concurrent peaks for a Destiny expansion ever, and sadly for them, the mood is not improving whatsoever. Look at the subreddit and you will find a community that's all but given up. The reason why? Well, because they feel like the devs have given up too. But it might not be the resignation of developers. It might not be the community giving up. No, I think the most telling thing about Bungie's state is that the CEO resigned. Let's begin by looking at some numbers, and I know Steam
Base, the guy who... Man, the Bungie CEO is something else. No, don't get me wrong, he's not even close. Not even close. He's not even on the same level as everyone's favorite, my spirit animal and spirit totem, Bobby Original Hard N-word Big D Colic, okay? No one is ever gonna beat that man. He is a legend amongst legends. But this guy from Bungie, not bad. He was literally telling, hey, come over to my house. I'm going to show you my collection of expensive multi-million-dollar luxury cars that are all vintage, by the way. To people who were literally going to get fired through email 2 days later. You gotta appreciate it. You gotta appreciate evil, boys. Okay, listen. I mean, if you're a Bungie developer, I have literally absolutely no sympathy towards you. You're shit. You cannot do your job. You're absolutely atrocious. You're a talentless loser. Your place is at Bethesda making Elder Scrolls 6 or Fallout 5, you absolute loser. Okay? That's the Bungie staff. I have no pity towards them, okay? They all deserve bad things in life, okay? So if they end up being out on the street, good. I'm tired of these people ruining everything I like in order just to, be woke about it. And Destiny, by the way, is one of the more woke games out there that have been literally expansions about gay romances in this game. It's really, really bad.
Player counts aren't everything, but they are something, and they don't look good for Edge of Fate, which is the latest Destiny expansion. Now, part of that...
I mean, player counts are literally everything, by the way, if anyone's wondering.
...was the final shape...
You can lie, but you can't lie about the player count.
...giving people an off-ramp, right? The final shape is basically the big culmination of a plotline, so if you're gonna duck out of the game, well, after that really is the best time. I mean, player sentiment was already low, and the state of Bungie, and of course...
The fact that the final shape sold less than Lightfall, a literal expansion centered around being gay, man, life's hard, eh?
Of course, the marathon
Life
battles
is hard.
did not help. But here's another problem. Only 22% of critics recommend the new expansion, which is absolutely brutal. And when it did release,
Well, yeah, because this expansion's whole point is to sell you shades of a color for $20, okay? That's a Silk Song, okay? What am I gonna do? Buy Silk Song or buy a shade of a color? I'm buying Silk Song.
Well, players found that the new portal system completely reworked the game. And let's just say it was controversial. So, Bungie basically added a parallel power system, and as Paul Tassi frames it, this effectively sunsets 80% of the game. There was
Base, they should have sunsetted 120% of the game at this point.
no point in engaging with anything outside of that system now. And that's because bonuses stack in a way that makes everything else almost irrelevant. Seeing the feedback, Bungie tried to fix complaints, but the fixes would have slowed progression even more, so they had to walk those back. And then, well, they had to come up with something else entirely. And all of this got worse, of course, after the QA layoffs of this summer. So the stuff in game's been going bad, but I'd say, given the QA layoffs, it's hardly a surprise that in addition to all of that, there is a never-ending tide of bugs, errors, exploits, all that stuff. And for a peek at what's happening, well, look at this. Raid leaderboards that are full of cheaters. There's paid armor that turns players invisible. There's rewards not being granted, soft locks in multiple places in the game, and people losing access to paid content and stores. And the list of things goes on. And then came even more frustration because Bungie also seemed to remove aspirational loot from the reward pool. They seemingly made it paid instead. So that was a shit show.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Why allow people to play your slop for free if you can make them pay more?
Of course, it's one they had to fix as well.
Also, I'm not gonna lie, New World probably wants a word with you.
It's one they had to fix as well after a bunch of backlash. And, I mean, we haven't even talked about the Star Wars themed expansion controversy in this video. So in short, right? It's been a bad time. And the man in charge during the development of all of this just quit. But it's more than just that he quit. It's some of the context and also some of the incentives. Bungie CEO is gone. Pete Parsons gets to walk away from all of this chaos.
Beautiful.
Someone else can deal with the consequences of the company's actions during his tenure. In a blog post at the end of August, Parsons announced this departure. He had 20 years at Bungie, and he said that he decided to pass the torch. But the timing is kind of interesting. You see, he's leaving 3 years and 1 month after Bungie's acquisition by PlayStation, and that may just align with stock options maturing from that sale. And that's something clearly in the minds of the staff whom he fired. They reacted with barely disguised venom on social media.
By the way, yes, this is one of the things that Bungie was most likely doing with their absolute insane tries to get as much money as possible. Exactly for this.
Say ex-social media manager Griffin Bennett had a particularly sharp response. He just said,
I mean, again, I talked about this multiple times. We know that Sony was taking over no matter what. Bungie simply could not do their fiscal obligatory stuff towards their deal with Sony. It was over. It was over. We knew that this is an inevitability since the Final Shape launched, even before it launched with the pre-orders, because Disney has a really easy way to track the amount of pre-orders with the badge thing that you get or something like that you're gonna get from the pre-order. You can track them 100%. It's a very accurate way of estimating things. And they fucking failed. They failed miserably. So we knew that all of this is just over, and now it's just people are trying to jump ship as they can. You know, is it through trying to pump up the stock through hype? Is it some kind of options thing? Is it whatever? Is it a contract expiring? But we knew that every single smart person at Bungie who is in a executive position is just doing effectively something like this. They're just trying to... Why is it a little bit wider here on the camera? No, here. That's strange. I don't see anything. Whatever. All of them are abandoning ship in some way. And, I mean, it's obvious, right?
Vested stock cleared, damage done, but hey, we're all a family, right, Pete? You see, back in December 2023,
Anyone who tries to abuse, by the way, their workers by saying, "Oh, we're a family here," I would do the same thing if I was in your position. Absolutely. Listen, if the fucking if the guy cleaning the sweeping the floors can be made not to leave while he's working on minimum wage by saying we're a family, my god, I'm saying we're a family, and I even know his name.
insiders were worrying about something. They essentially thought the leadership at Bungie were preparing to cut and run after the launch of Marathon. Obviously, the launch of Marathon did not happen when anyone thought it would, especially at the time of those leaks. And what it looks like is that even if that was the plan, while Marathon may have been delayed, Parsons' exit was certainly not delayed in line with the game. So to understand this, let's go back to 2021. Staff framed Parsons as slow to act on toxic work culture allegations. They sent direct letters to him.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't believe any of this shit, by the way. Again, Bungie's Vogue. Toxic work allegations in this case can literally mean, oh, this person is doing his job and not talking about me about gender all day long. That's toxic. I don't want these people around. Like, that could be the toxic work allegations at Bungie. That's the reality of what toxic means for these mentally diluted people.
And his intentions were supposedly good, better than some others of Bungie leadership, but ultimately he didn't really react fast enough. But this was just the start. What followed next? Well, the multi-project incubation period that sapped resources, the sale to PlayStation, disastrous monetization demands being placed on the Destiny team. All of this stuff harmed developer and player sentiment, and I think most dangerously, it put players and developers against each other. And when that sort of thing starts to happen, game communities can just enter a death spiral. But then came the endless stream of layoffs both before and following the final shape. Because hey, congratulations, you did the final shape, people seem to have loved it, and your reward is already planned layoffs. Epic. Now add to this the woes of this summer.
Well, yes.
And just before that, the entire Marathon saga that played out. It's a lot. Now, look, to be clear, Parsons isn't directly responsible for everything that went bad. He's not the guy individually, unilaterally making choices about systems or skin implementation, right? Maybe he'll be a tiebreaker between some of his leads, something like that. But he exemplified the company culture. His decisions led to layoffs. Those layoffs left teams struggling. We know, as an example, struggling to run QA. So if you're a player finding, wow, there's a lot of
Based. I mean, QA doesn't matter at this point. If you were playing Destiny after Final Shape, I mean, let's be real, you were gonna play it no matter what.
bugs, what's going on here? Maybe that would have something to do with it. And with all that bad news, it's no wonder that Bungie couldn't retain experience. So, at worst, he is indirectly responsible for the company's state.
And honestly, who gives a shit about Destiny after the Final Shape, okay? The unibrown main villain who looks like a twink got defeated, okay? It is what it is.
But obviously, as CEO, yeah, he was responsible. But here's something. If Parsons is indirectly responsible for the company's state, what's curious is that his successor will not have the same role. Bungie's new leader is a man called Justin Truman, and you might remember him from some of our previous coverage. We talked about his infamous GDC presentation on sustainable live service development. You might remember a quote, which...
Oh, this guy, he has no idea what he's talking about.
is beware of over-delivery. Obviously, Destiny players felt that they had been under-delivered to for quite a while, so it obviously fired away as a meme.
By the way, imagine a guy on that. By the way, this is the perfect line. Must slowly, not like this, but like this. It looks like a straight line to you, but there's like a 0.01% incline in this direction, so its line go up. That guy literally thinks in line must go up standards only. The idea that you can ever be a game developer, or anyone really that even cares remotely about his job, and you ever say, oh yeah, always under-deliver. Bro, shut the fuck up. If you If I'm hiring an electrician and he under-delivers, I'm never hiring him again. In fact, I'm telling other people to never hire him also because I don't want other people to have a bad experience. Okay? Under the idea that anyone says you should under-deliver is probably like the greatest red flag ever in almost anything. Not even just gaming. In gaming especially, I guess, but in literally everything. Under-delivering being a good thing is probably the worst, shittiest thing ever. We got Diablo 4 because of constant under-delivering.
Became kind of typical, an example of everything that people thought was wrong and going bad with Bungie. In reality, what he said in the talk was far more nuanced, and I guess the easiest way, albeit
Not
crude, is to
nuanced
just
enough.
say he was basically saying, "Don't blow your load." That's kind of it. Now, he actually engaged with the criticism of that meme when it came to accepting his new role, and what's interesting.
Also, the concept of, oh, he actually said don't blow your load, as in, you know, don't give players all the good stuff instantaneously. That's also stupid. Like, do it.
Is that ex-staff weren't actively hostile to his appointment, which I think does suggest it could be a step up at least. But here's the thing. He is replacing Pete Parsons, but his new role is not that of Chief Executive Officer. He instead will be Bungie's studio head. Now, this may seem like some semantics, but I think it represents the most fundamental shift at Bungie in years. The reason why is simple. It suggests that Bungie's independence is ending under PlayStation. That's a threat that's loomed over them for a long-ass time.
I personally say that's a good thing because Bungie is clearly incapable of doing anything right.
It's obvious that now it's coming true. And even before Parsons announced his departure, PlayStation were closing in, and they weren't doing it sneakily. Sony CFO Lin Tao explained this to investors in early August, where he said, quote, "We have gone through structural reform as we announced last year." And then he added the crucial bit of information, quote, "This independence is getting lighter, and Bungie is shifting into a role which is becoming more part of PlayStation Studios." Yeah, so integration is proceeding. The independence of Bungie is going away. And obviously this—
God, I was tired of waiting until this would happen. Again, this can only mean two things. One, quality go up, two, prices go up because it's fucking PlayStation.
Follow the 2024 restructuring, where PlayStation moved 12% of Bungie, which is 155 roles, directly into SIE, which is Sony Interactive Entertainment. Those people then formed Team LFG, and they're currently working on a live service MOBA, which is one of the things that came out of Bungie's incubation period. Anyway, they also formed the
live service MOBA. Bro, listen, by the way, League of Legends, we never talk about this, but you understand League of Legends has skins that are worth $250. I think the most expensive skin is like $500, and I'm not talking about Pucks Jocks, you know?
Studios team supporting live service development, which obviously makes a lot of sense when you know that PlayStation really wanted those live services. Now, before that, well, Sony's incoming CEO visited Bungie, and when he did, he praised the staff, but he said there was, quote, room for improvement. Not necessarily on the staff. No, his room for improvement was specifically regarding business expenses and accountability for development timelines. Certainly sounds like a bit of a threat. And those are the types of failures that staff are not responsible for. They're the sorts of things management is responsible for. And now, Bungie has no CEO. The leadership will report directly to PlayStation. And it's a PlayStation that's different.
Now, to be fair, that would always be the case since PlayStation takes over.
One that is shifted towards cheaper, faster game development with more central oversight, because they essentially realized, oh dear, we put a lot of chips into Concord, and we really didn't monitor the quality of that, did we? So you might be wondering, is this better for Bungie? It's weird, right?
The fact that they, by the way, bought Concord is insane, because Sony literally bought into the idea that Concord— if you don't know this is gonna sound insane, but this is the truth. You can Google this. Sony bought into the idea that Concord is gonna be the next GTA 6. So Sony bought into the idea that Concord is gonna be so amazing and be loved by players, it's gonna completely destroy Call of Duty and Battlefield combined. Concord thought that they're literally buying the next Fortnite. Yes, Concord, Sony actually somehow got duped into paying 400 million for the company that made this slop. And then they shut this down in like a week after it released, and the company that they bought for 400 million got also shut down right after. It's insane.
Right? Because we don't know, you don't know, none of us know, because, like, the future hasn't happened yet. And also, game development has a lot of lag time. Parsons left at the end of August, but we're still going to feel the impact of his leadership, I suppose his and his team's plans, for a long time. Now, if we're to assume that Truman has the best of intentions, which I am happy to do, well, it's also the case that he's likely under a hell of a lot of pressure because he now needs to deliver change for both Destiny and Marathon, both of which are extremely embattled. And he's working with a studio that is now bled of its senior talent via multiple rounds of layoffs, and also dealing with fans that are rightly not happy and rightly not trusting. Meanwhile, production patterns and product offerings keep on changing. Look at the different iterations of like seasonal yearly content that Destiny has had. Look at how Marathon is being forced to change by a market that, well, is I think quite literally demanding change of it. Though, of course, none of this will be news to Truman, because he's been the Chief Development Officer since 2022. Before that, he was Destiny's General Manager, and he switched roles right as the chaos began with the Lightfall expansion. He's been part of the decision-making since then, and he still is now. So the question is simple. Do he and PlayStation actually have a plan? At the very least, PlayStation can be pleased about something, and that's licensed revenue from Destiny Rising. What's Destiny Rising? Well,
a mobile
game with gacha elements, so yeah, it's bringing in the money. And as we've covered, that's where a lot of the industry's money comes from now. And by most accounts, NetEase used their blank slate with making this Destiny spin-off game actually quite well. They supposedly made a passable Destiny campaign.
Oh, no. Destiny Rising is literally the new Destiny. Destiny 2 is shit compared to Destiny Rising. Ask any Destiny player, is the mobile game actually good? They will say, yes, it's actually better than the main game. It is insane. It's not even close. In any case, that was Billion News 10 out of 10. Bye!